y'all, I'm Molly Pledger, and for my senior talk, I had way too many ideas, yet zero ideas. So I looked at all the senior talks I'd seen my friends do, and I looked on Pinterest at inspirational quotes, and I looked up on Google for devotions, and nothing was really clicking with me. I was like, is that really the message that I think is supposed to come from me to you, or do I think it's just catchy? So I kind of sat down and thought about what I felt like I needed to hear in my time in middle school and high school in the church. So my talk probably won't be as quotable or cute as these Pinterest devotions, but hopefully at least one of you will need to hear the message. So a lot of the people in this youth group probably don't recognize me, especially if they've joined in the past year or two. And that's because in the past few years, I've gone through periods in my life where I've just felt really unworthy of God's love and unworthy to be a part of a church. A few years ago, I started my battle with depression. And if you've ever felt that, you know how lonely it can feel. And that loneliness doesn't exclude feeling alone with God. So I was really frustrated because I felt like God was either not listening to me or he couldn't hear me. And I was kind of just waiting for him to chase me, just chase after me, come knock on my door, or come to me in a dream or something. And when he didn't, it was really devastating. I felt kind of abandoned and forgotten. So I'm just going to tell you a little Bible story that you've probably heard before, but I think that we all need to hear it every now and then. And it's the story of the prodigal son. Also, I had to look up what prodigal meant because I've heard it a billion times, I had no idea. Basically, that he's wasteful and extravagant, which you'll find that out later in the story. But so if you've never heard the story, there's a father with two sons, and the youngest son comes up to dad and he's like, "Hey dad, I want all my inheritance money." And dad's like, "Okay, here you go." And the son takes it and runs, and he blows it on parties and feasts and everything but what is necessary. And so he blows it until he has nothing left, and he's sitting there with nowhere to live and nothing to eat, and he's like, "I have to go home. I have to go back to my father and take whatever punishment he gives me." And if you have a sibling, or if you're the child that sometimes needs to come home after being in trouble, you're watching, you're like, oh, something's about to go down. So I'm reading this and I'm expecting as a teenager, I'm like, oh, dad's about to be mad. But we read this instead in Luke 15:20. "So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He is lost and now he's found.' So they began to celebrate." So when I was lost, in a time of confusion and loneliness, I viewed God as anything but this forgiving Savior that I heard about all the time. I thought maybe he was like this judgmental neighbor that was just kind of watching me from afar, or maybe he was this referee that was just keeping track of all the good things and the bad things, and whenever I died, whichever one outweighed the other was what was going to end up. But I did not think of him as a father, and that's what he is. He's not some sort of prison guard that keeps us locked in a cell or trapped in our faith. He gives us a freedom to wander, and with that freedom to wander comes a responsibility to call out to him when we can't stand anymore. And that's what I realized. I realized that God is a father, a God that is waiting for me with open arms, a father that will rejoice when I come back even after I've blown all my money and I've done nothing but sin. And I just want everyone to know that God chooses us every time. God's waiting. He's literally standing there waiting. And I knew that. I was like, oh, God loves me, but he's not chasing. He doesn't chase because he gives us that freedom. But he is waiting with open arms. And so I won't act like I've completely found my way back or that the whole journey was really easy. But I know now that these seasons of doubt and these seasons of sadness or loneliness or seasons of financial instability or stress or personal loss, they pass. These seasons pass. And that my faith will be stronger because of it. In James 1:2-4, it says, Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. So, I guess the message in my senior talk is one that if you feel alone, you're not. Everyone in this church has at some point wavered in their faith. Everyone has questioned whether they are worthy, and the answer is the same every time. You are worthy and you are loved, and God chooses us every time, and He's waiting to call us His own and to love us unconditionally. Thanks.
Hey, you just heard an amazing talk by Miss Molly Pledger. Molly, are you healthy? Do you have the Rona?
I do not.
All right, we're going to take our masks off. And I think we're far enough away. But Molly, you graduated from Madison, but tell us a little bit about graduating from Madison and where you plan to go and what you plan to do.
So I just graduated from Madison. We thankfully got to have a real graduation, not on the ballpark, and now I'm attending Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Now, what do you plan to study?
It's called Integrated Marketing Communications.
Okay.
Which is basically going to be like new age of marketing through social media and stuff like that. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I play with some of that like through our farm roads and stuff like that. So some of the Instagram we do for our fishing and stuff. So it's pretty fun. Well, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, we're going to get her to come back and work for us. So that'll be good. Hey, you were talking about refereeing in your talk. And I had a horrible flashback.
Oh,
Molly is the victim
traumatic
of bad refereeing.
Oh no.
Now, in case people don't know, Molly was a purple penguin this year.
Purple penguin this year.
Actually, that was just such a.
That was so fun.
It was awesome. And it was such an answer to prayer. I've been praying for that forever. Lord, if you just let Molly be a purple penguin, we will have something really special.
So
and it was
fun.
special. It was fun.
Too bad it's tainted by that horrible memory.
I mean, it was bad, y'all.
It was bad.
If it had not been the last game of the year,
oh gosh,
I might have got thrown out. I really controlled myself well.
That was so bad.
Murph kept looking at me like he's going to explode any moment. He's going to explode any moment.
In the championship game.
It was bad, y'all.
It was bad.
In fact, we're going to take the next 25 minutes or so just to tell you just how bad. No, we won't. It was horrible. So I'm glad that, I remember exactly what I said to you at Wednesday. I was like, hey, listen, you're the best thing that ever happened to this team. I'm so glad you're here this year. I love you. I am so sorry. So there's nothing we can do about it, but my goodness.
Isn't that funny how vividly we both remember it?
I remember it's like it was just, in fact, I've had a few dreams about it. Night terrors, they call it. So, well, if you ever grow up to be a referee, don't change the outcome of a game by a bad call. If you do, at least say you're sorry.
Thank you. Please.
So, but no, we were so happy that you were a purple
penguin.
penguin.
It was fun anyway. It was a bad ending, I'd say, for me. But it was a really fun season.
It was fun, and we almost overcome no matter what. But love the purple penguins. That's so much fun. So, so you're going to be going off to Ole Miss, and are you nervous about going to school at all?
Honestly, no. I'm excited because I'm just kind of ready for something new. Yeah. Hopefully, if all this works out with everybody moving places and whatnot. But I think it's been fun, especially to have the last summer before college, just be with my family and then kind of okay, now I've got to spend the quality time. I'm ready to go, So
because you're quite the traveler. I mean, you've been for a young life, you've been basically all over the world.
I mean, last year we literally flew around the world last summer, so it's been nice to kind of have a chill summer and just hang out.
That's cool. Well, good. How do you expect to describe this to your kids, grandkids, your friends in the future? I mean, do you think you'll be sitting around in fact, I'll just say you're gonna be sitting around in somewhere. You'll be like, how's y'all's last semester go? Or is it that you're gonna be sharing and comparing those? But how do you plan to share that with the people you're running in the future?
I think about it all the time, and it's kind of weird because we don't know really the effects of it long term. So will it be something that people talk about all the time? Well, that's when COVID started, or I don't even remember that happening. I don't really know which way things are gonna go, but I mean, it's definitely gonna be a story because it affected a lot of things, a lot of different. I mean, even my cousin was supposed to get married, and that couldn't happen. I was gonna graduate and have my last semester, but I think with my kids and grandkids, it's just gonna be kind of I think I'm gonna turn it into old people, and they're like, back in my day, we had to walk uphill
Yeah,
to school
exactly.
both ways.
Exactly.
Back in my day, we didn't get to finish our senior year, so don't complain.
That's right.
Senioritis,
That's right,
better not be acting up. So.
That's true. It's interesting that when you live through history, and I guess everybody lives through history, right?
Yeah.
But maybe you live through a period of history where there's not any great something to talk about. I mean, 9/11, stuff like that, But I'm really excited for like next year.
Mm-hmm.
There's supposed to be people walking on the moon. I hear people talk about that. I'm a little bit too young to experience that. By just a couple of years, and I would have loved to have experienced that.
Yeah.
And now we get to do that maybe for the first time. That'd be cool. So things like that are cool to talk about.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, because this is my generation's like first thing that we get to remember and talk about. Like,
yeah, you're
so
too young for 9/11.
Yeah, I mean, because there's some Gen Z type of people that were born in probably 99, 98, but you're not going to remember 9/11.
No,
but I mean, I was born after 9/11, so I mean,
yeah.
I've got nothing.
I can tell you stories, girl. You said your roommate's going to be from Coronado.
Yeah.
I can tell you stories because I spent a little time there.
Yeah, she's from California, so that'll be fun.
Wow. Well, that'd be good. That'd be good. Hey, you shared with us just a little bit of, you said that you had some depression issues in school, and you did a really great job of it. You were always so articulate and able to express yourself, and that's so good. But, what are some things that helped you? What are like some tangible things that helped you with that during that process? Did you pray a lot? Did you get a hold of someone and just talk to them? Were there friends? Were there adults? Were there, what was the things that helped you the most when you found yourself beginning to think, this may just be more than me feeling a little bit blue right now?
Yeah. That was a process to even get to the point where it was like, I might just be feeling more than blue. Because, everybody talks about like teenage moodiness.
Sure,
and you're like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just the hormone,
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, after a while, you kind of just realize that something's up, and you're like, I should feel better than I do.
Yeah.
And so I think the most important thing for me was definitely just finding people and having conversations.
Yeah.
And, a lot of it it didn't specifically have to do with God, but I mean, my relationship with God was 100% affected. And, it took me a while to move up to things like talking about God and Christianity. And this year we got a new Young Life leader at my school who definitely made that conversation a lot easier.
Yeah, she's
because,
cool.
She's so real. And, people close to my age, but a little bit older that have lived a little more, that's always the best type of people to talk to me, and like that's what I think for people in the youth group. Like if you're in middle school and you're feeling that, talk to an 8th grader or a freshman or a sophomore. Like I think that it's always important to just have conversation because getting in your own head can definitely be pretty harmful for stuff like that.
Yeah, getting in your head's like I struggle with that so much, and growing up, that was I'm my own worst enemy. I call it sometimes. I outsmart myself all the time. So because I get to overthinking things, and so that's really easy to do. I'm so glad you talked about that and just brought that up because we all. I mean, you're right. We all run through some period. It's seasons. That's a great way of putting it. Run through some different seasons, and those seasons come and go.
Yeah.
And they may turn around and come back again. You
Right.
know, but the thing is, I think once you learn the little tools in your toolbox, it's really helpful. So I'm so glad and thankful that you shared that with us, and so I hope those little tips help a little bit. So don't be afraid to talk, right?
Right, for sure. Because I think the more you're afraid to talk about it, the more you feel like guilty or like it's a secret. And when you keep stuff to yourself, like I said, I mean, it's never good. And a lot of times it is lonely, and you find other people that feel the same way, and it doesn't feel as lonely or as like a big of a mountain anymore. It's just like, well, people do handle this and move through it, because a lot of times when you're in a season, you're like, yeah, nobody makes it through. But like once you're past it, you're like, oh, that was doable, that was handleable.
And just like the story, and just like you said, because of Jesus, God's not the rule keeper. He's not the gatekeeper of, yes, we fear God in that reverent sort of way. We should not fear. And it's so easy. And I blame the church for a lot of this. It's so easy for us to go, oh, I don't want to play with that line. And so you're like, it's okay to doubt. It's okay to wonder. It's okay to do all those things. But the reality of it is through the church, through people who love you, through these organizations and stuff, you'll find older youth, younger adults, older adults, those people who God will throw in your path, and He's actually doing that on purpose in a lot of ways. But you don't have to be so afraid. You don't have to be so afraid.
Sure.
So, Well, good. I'm so thankful for you sharing that, because that really helped us all deal with that referee. And so,
Who's referees?
we're gonna miss Molly. Golly, she is just so wonderful. I know that Oxford is going to be blessed by her presence. A lot of Madison students down in Oxford over the years, so so it feels like old hometown down there for a bunch of you. So.
Yeah.
So we wish you the best, Molly, and we will see you guys here again real soon with another senior. But until then, are you ready?
Oh.
Don't finish that. All right, see ya.